What I have here is a Briggs powered lawnmower here. This happens to have the plastic carb on it. What we're going to do is take some starting fluid here. Suspect the carburetor's plugged up a little bit. We'll spray it in that little hole there. We'll see if it pops over. So we'll take the carburetor off and we'll clean the jets in there. It's probably half plugged. Not enough to get it to start, but once you spray some fluid in there, some starting fluid, it'll start running. Since I have quite a bit of fuel in there, you'll either have to tilt your mower all the way back or take a locking pliers here and pinch your fuel line off, and then we can remove it from the carburetor. So I'm going to just pinch it off and take these two bolts out here. Okay, there's actually 3 bolts. This one happens to be an 8mm. There's one here and one here. Those are 7mm. There happens to be one more 8mm right here. Take that off. Now we'll be able to pull the carburetor off the air box, and then the carburetor will pull off of here. And on the very top, we'll go ahead and take the linkage out. To get that to undo the linkage, you'll have to take and remove the fuel line first. Move that clamp back, and we'll pull this off. And we'll take and pull this out, tilt it over. Okay, you want to place a rag underneath your carburetor here. We'll go ahead and remove the carburetor bowl. Some fuel is going to leak out. Okay, now with these two 7mm screws removed, we'll go and we'll pop the bottom of this carburetor off here. Just take and pry it up a little bit with a screwdriver. It'll come right off. The next thing we're going to do is remove this right here. So there's a little orifice in there that gets plugged up, and we're going to clean that off. So without pushing on the float, we'll try to just pry this out of here. It's only held in by an O-ring. Get it out, place your screwdriver on the body of the carburetor here. Just gently pull up on that and it'll pop out. What we're going to do now is take some carburetor cleaner, spray it in each of these 3 holes here, and this little jet hole right here we're going to spray in as well. Now that that's sprayed out, I'm going to just clean this out a little bit. Spray in all those little holes. It's a good idea to wear some eye protection while you're doing this. Now to help it go back together, I'm going to just put a drop of oil on each of these O-rings here. And spread that around. Go ahead and drop our jet assembly in there. and then push it all the way down. Okay, now our carburetor bulb gasket here, we'll put a drop of oil on there. Spread that all the way around. This little piece right here goes towards your fuel inlet, so put that on there, push that together, and put our two 7mm screws in there. Okay, now that we have these two a little over snug, what we're going to do is replace the O-ring and keeper that's on here. Many a times your O-ring and the little locking ring gets stuck to your intake manifold there, so we'll just take those off. Take and place a drop of oil on that O-ring, work it around a little bit, place that in the carburetor, push it all the way down. This little ring here helps keep it in the carburetor, simply snaps in. Now what we want to do is make sure your butterfly here moves freely. Sometimes when you disassemble it, binds up a little bit. This looks good, so now we're ready to install it. So we're going to take our throttle linkage here, and goes in the one hole that's there. So hopefully you'll be able to see this on camera. It's called a little Z-bend. Place it on there, and we'll slide our carburetor all the way on here. Push it all the way in until it snaps in. Okay, now what we'll do is place our fuel line on there. Okay, now that the fuel line's connected, check underneath there to see if there's any leaks. Everything looks good. Cleaned our air box up a little bit. On the very back, right here, there's a little tiny screen, and that is for your primer. Make sure that that screen is clean. That lines up with this little hole here. Then we're going to take our oil breather, line that up. And we'll slip this in. There are two little tabs that will correlate with the bracket when it's held on there. Then we'll go and put our 4 screws in there. Those two 8mm and the two 7mm. Okay, what you're going to want to do is try your primer here and look into this little hole here, and you should see some fuel popping through there. That looks good there. I took and cleaned the air filter here. I put 1 drop of oil on there and then squeezed it around. That'll help collect the dirt.